What's up, everybody? This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Commissioner's Clubhouse and the LCC Network. We are back for episode 14 of the Offseason, and we've got a special episode of Offseason winners and losers. And with me today, we got the fantastic foursome. I don't know what to call it. It's me, Jordan, Daquan, and Mafali all on the show. What's going on, y'all?
What's up? Good to be here.
What's going on? Glad to be part of the fantastic foursome.
Definitely, I think this foursome is a winner, indeed.
Yeah, man. If this is a D-line, we're getting to the quarterback.
Yeah, that's right. We are the front four. That's what I should have called it. That sounds less provocative and more football related.
There you go.
But we gotta just roll with Fantastic Foursome now. It's out there. Everyone's gonna know what it is. But yeah, we got. For those that don't know, maybe you're not part of the league and just listening. You stumbled across our podcast. We just had our keeper deadline, so everyone who wasn't capped is now a free agent, heading into our rookie draft, which is very soon. Not this weekend, but the following weekend. And then not too long after that, we have our off-season free agency period. So a lot happened over the weekend, to say the least. A lot of players were capped. A lot of players were not capped, of course. And, of course, a lot of drama in the LCC. When is there not? And on top of that, we are going to break down not all the teams, but some of our favorites, some of our least favorite teams. I'm sure we're getting some side tangents like always as well. But Jordan, before we dive into all that, did you have anything you want to talk about before we hop in?
No, I don't think so. You just let them know about the rookie draft coming up, so that was the next most important thing.
Yeah.
I guess we could let them know. We announced it in the group me, but Spartanburg and Hub City Martial Arts is the official location of the August regular draft. So mark your calendars and try your best to be there.
Yeah, they are our official martial arts sponsor, by the way, by default.
Yeah. Anybody that wants jiu-jitsu or karate lessons, Hub City Martial Arts, tell them you're in the league, and I'm sure they'll cut you a hell of a discount.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be pretty interesting to see how the draft goes. This is our first time getting together since 2019, but you have to go back even further than that before the league separated into two large conferences, and we had two different drafts. This is the first time we've had just one large draft, especially this magnitude. I'm interested to see who shows up, who doesn't. I mean, it's not mandatory that you show up, but it definitely helps the draft go by faster. The more people we have drafting remotely, the more bogged down things get, and it ends up becoming longer. That's why last year's draft was, I don't even know, last year's draft took way too long. But
yeah, it won't be anywhere near that just because we have some roster set this year. But yeah, it will help as many people should come. I know both of you guys, Daquan and Steve, are most likely on the remote side of the draft.
yeah, Mike
for
too.
different reasons, but so that'll work if something comes up. But if you can get there, that'd be cool.
Yeah, Jordan's always willing to let anyone just stay at his place. So if we need a place to stay, no, I'm just kidding.
But seriously, though, he probably would.
There. Yeah, he probably would if it was an emergency.
Text me ahead of time, and I got you.
But no, let's so for those who don't know, this Saturday is the deadline to have your commitments in for the rookie draft. The following Friday is when the rookie draft officially begins, and it'll last more likely at least until Sunday, if not till Monday, because we know everyone likes to put all their draft picks in. We skip a bunch of picks. People forget to skip their pick, and it just takes forever. So I anticipate we'll definitely go at least until sometime into Sunday evening, if not until Monday morning as well.
Yeah, hopefully not too many. I mean, we can only take, what, two, three?
you can draft up to 3 guys, but we didn't set a limit on how many picks you could put in.
Yeah. So you can only take 3 at the most, and you can't drop them all season anyway. So try to avoid putting in 9 draft picks.
Yeah, definitely. I think for the people that like put in a bunch of picks, like probably myself will, but I'll be on top of skipping if I'm not on. Like I'll be making sure that I'm watching and I'm not making people wait for me to just skip. So, and if anybody else is like in that situation, I'll make sure to be messaging them and reminding them like, hey, you put in a bunch of picks. If you don't want to use them, can you just skip quick so we can get through this?
Yeah. If you're not going to use it, it'd be awfully nice for you to just let the ball keep rolling. So.
Yeah, I get one to put in as many picks as you can, whatever. But if you do, just definitely try to make sure you're on top of it for those. It's a weekend anyways. You can always check your phone. It's not like people will be at work. Obviously maybe people will be out doing something, but you can always just check your phone quick.
Yeah, just be considerate of everyone else waiting to pick.
Yeah, so we got that to look forward to. But before then, let's dive into our offseason winners and losers from this offseason thus far. Obviously, there's still a lot that's going to happen. We get the rookie draft, we get the offseason free agency, and then the regular draft. So this is going to change, obviously, but this is just so far into early June. Who we're liking, who we're not liking. We're each going to pick one team. And I guess, Jordan, why don't you kick us off who your winner is for the offseason so far?
All right. So my winner of the first half of the offseason, I'm going to go with Mr. Billy Ray and the Detroit Bad Boys themselves. I really like what he did. He flipped a couple quarterbacks, but he wound up trading for Russell Wilson, who every year is a top QB in our league. But with that acquisition being through trade, he's not going to have to use a pick to keep him. So basically, Russell Wilson for free. Moving on, he keeps Christian McCaffrey, a good shot to be a top 3 running back in this league anytime he's healthy, and he keeps him for a 13th round pick. Another crazy good value. And then his third keeper is Darius Leonard. Could be a top 3 linebacker at any time in this league, and he keeps him for a 3rd rounder. A healthy year, he could easily cost a 1st or 2nd rounder on a given roster. So that's a potential top 3 player at all 3 keeper positions. So I absolutely loved what he did, and if he continues it second half of the offseason, he's looking scary.
What's interesting for me about Billy's team is that obviously he doesn't pick until the 3rd round, like middle to late part of the 3rd round, but he's got 3 picks in the 5th round, which doesn't sound like a lot in our league where 24 teams, 3 keepers, it's like I think a 7-man starting lineup, if that tells you anything. So for me, those 5th picks are like perfect for the rookie draft. Like we were talking being able to draft multiple guys in a rookie draft. Well, if I'm Billy, I'm planning on using at least probably 2 of those 5th round picks on rookies because they could be potential starters that you could get there in that pick, which you won't be able to do in the regular draft. You're not going to get a starter in the 5th round. It's going to be a backup, maybe a guy you flex here and there, but it's not going to be anyone worth an investment on.
Yeah. How do you guys feel? You guys like Billy? What he's done so far? I know he's missed his draft pick for later, but even with not drafting until the 3rd round, though, you could argue those 3 players could be 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round picks. So.
All right.
Yeah.
You are good?
Yeah. If no one else
I was waiting on Mufali.
I mean, no, you're all good. I agree with you. There's really not much more else to say about that.
Yeah.
Billy's team is nice.
Yeah, there you go. My winner. So who are we going to kick it to next?
Let's do Daquan.
All right, I'll go ahead and take the reins. So my winner will be, as much as it hurts me, I have to pick myself. No, I'm joking. But I'm going to go with Jamison's team, Give Me More. I like what he did this offseason with Josh Allen. He's got a top 3 quarterback. Mixon's a top 10 running back when healthy. He was injured, so he pretty much keeps him for nothing. Myles Garrett anchors his defensive line position. He's one of the best pass rushers in the league, if not top 3, top 5. and then Patrick Queen is a tackling machine. So I like his roster. It puts him in place to move forward, get a receiver, get some safeties, get another linebacker as he goes into the draft. So I like where he's set up right now.
Yeah, I like Jameson. Josh Allen's going to stay right where he's at. If Joe Mixon can just be what he's supposed to be every freaking year, like, it would be really nice, but I'm waiting to see that. And I really want to see the progression of Patrick Queen because I feel like he can become a top 5 type of linebacker. It's just how fast does he become that? So, yeah, I like Jameson.
Yeah. Joe Mixon worries me a little bit just because I still worry that the Bengals can't block. You know, they really – I get you got to get Jamar Chase in the draft, but they didn't address their biggest concern, which was the offensive line that ended the season of their star quarterback and pretty much the season of Joe Mixon, too. He was getting blown up all year, too. You know, both of them just stood no chance behind that offensive line. And I always say that, you know, running backs to me are a dime a dozen, and most of them are made by good offensive lines. So I don't care who you put behind an offensive line. If they're not blocking, you're not doing much.
For me, one of the main reasons I picked his team is because I like Mixon getting the full workload for the first time in his career with Gio gone.
Yeah, definitely.
And, you know, they're going to watch Burrow. They're going to drop back a lot of screens, a lot of catching for Mixon. So as long as I think he can just do what he's supposed to do, like Jordan said, he'll be all right. And that puts Jameson in a great position.
If I could, if I could sum up Jameson's offseason thus far, it's like an efficient assassin. I mean, he made very few moves this offseason, but they were very quick and very early on and very straightforward. He knew what he was going for, and he didn't beat around the bush, and he got it. And he freed up so much draft capital in the first 5 rounds. He's got his first, second, third, fourth, 2 fifths in the later part of the fifth. It was totally worth it. I think he's in a good spot for the rookie draft, the regular draft too, and then of course the offseason free agency he'll be able to get more likely at least a starter there as well. So yes, I think Jameson, he came into the offseason with a purpose early on, and he served that purpose.
Definitely. Good start, Jameson.
Yeah. What about you, Mcfaly? Who's your winner?
Like I was telling you guys earlier, I think the biggest winner of the offseason so far was probably Pacific Standard Time, you know, really undefeated this offseason. And, you know, some teams really owe more to Pacific Standard Time than others, but we all appreciate it in the end. So, but now my big winner of the offseason, I think, was Alex Becker, Le Batard's Lobos. His 3 keepers I love. They were all after the 10th round. Starting with Antonio Gibson, who I think is probably one of the more under-talked about but really good running backs. You know, he's actually pretty high on a lot of fantasy boards, but he's just not a name that anybody would really know. But a lot of fantasy people around, the community are, all over Antonio Gibson this year, and I think he's a good pick. And then Julio Jones, obviously. And then Daniil Hunter is another guy who I've been a huge fan of ever since he came into the league. You know, the guy is 23 years old and has been in the league for 5 years. I don't know what he's doing, but now that he's healthy, and I think they're going to be playing with a good D line this year in Minnesota, and I think he's going to go back to having that near 20 sack season again. Because I believe the year before he got about 19 or so, and he was pushing that 20. So yeah, I think he finally sees that this year. So 3 great keepers, all in the late rounds, and then I think what really set him over the top for me was when he made that trade for a first rounder to get getting rid of Budda Baker for a first rounder. And just getting that 15th pick in the first round, I mean, that's a great pick. And for somebody that he wasn't going to keep because he had 3 great keepers with such low values, he wasn't going to give up his first or second round pick for Budda Baker, even though it might have been worth it. But in the end, the better values were down there. And he got great value back in return for Budda Baker because you're not going to get much higher than that for a keeper because, most people don't want to use their first round keepers unless it's, a solidified top player, which I guess Budda Baker is, but either way, I think he got great value and he has 3 great keepers. So that's probably my winner for the offseason.
I think.
Yeah, I like that.
No, go ahead, Jordan.
Okay. Yeah, I like what he was saying. And, I mean, the key word there the whole time for Steve, value. If y'all remember the old McDonald's commercials, he was definitely the value menu mayor of the keeper deadline. So, he basically spent nothing, but he's not gonna go hungry. I know that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about guys who, especially like teams who missed the playoffs last year, this is obviously a team that did. The Lobos. Alex did a great job of positioning himself for a serious rebuild going into 2021, and like you said, Mafali, I mean, he freed up so many picks by keeping guys that were dirt cheap. And who cares? Like Julio Jones I feel like he's in a worse position than he was from a fantasy perspective in Tennessee, but I don't think that matters. He was a 12th round pick. I mean, that's dirt cheap. But I think the biggest thing, though, he's got 2 first round picks. He's now got 2 fifth round picks. And by the way, that 5th round pick, it made its way around the league. I mean, this pick went around. It went from Billy, Charles, and Big Os to Alex. So 4 different teams have owned that pick.
Yeah, for sure. That was part of the Buda Baker trade. So, first and a fifth, a first rounder for the big draft, and then 5th rounder would be great for the rookie draft. So 2 great picks to use for one player that he probably wasn't going to be able to keep anyways. So I thought that was great for him.
I'm going to go on the opposite side and say this team is based off potential.
That's true.
If Gibson can follow up and have a good year like his rookie year, which it's kind of iffy. It typically doesn't happen, but for the value of the 10th, 12th, and 13th pick, it's great potential.
Yeah,
he arguably has a top 15 back, top 5-10 receiver, and then a top DL. But if Hunter can stay healthy, if Gibson can produce and Julio produces in Tennessee, he definitely has the potential to be a top team.
Yeah, but I think most of the thing, especially with these keepers, is all those guys were hurt the year before. Usually that's why they're great values. And Julio definitely has a track record for injury, so I could see the risk there. And then, like you said, Gibson hasn't really shown too much, but he definitely has the upside. But to me, Hunter had the one little injury last year, probably could have came back, but they wanted to hold him out because they weren't good. And he's had great, success before. And to me, I think he's the best defensive lineman in football behind Aaron Donald. So I thought, I was actually trying to trade for him a lot this offseason. I probably messaged Alex 3 or 4 times trying to get my hands on Danielle Hunter. So
yeah, you're definitely a little higher than I am, but that's a good 3.
Yeah.
So that was our 4 winners.
Hang on now, I got my winner. Come on, jeez.
Yeah. Come on, Jordan or Mason, whatever you want to
Skip me.
Yeah, I am.
My winner for me, I don't know if some people are ready for this because I know I'm about to make someone's head 10 times bigger than it already is, and that's New Orleans Voodoo. That's John, who's a rookie in our league. He's got 2 first-round picks. He's got a 2nd, 3rd, a 4th, a 5th. His keepers ended up being relatively dirt cheap in terms of what they cost him. He's got plenty of draft capital. Sure, they're both in the back end of the first, but that's still 2 first-round picks. You can't beat that. He's got Devin Bush as his keeper. He's also got Tyreek Hill, who's obviously wide receiver 1, and Josh Jacobs, who I don't think anyone's foaming at the mouth of Josh Jacobs. Obviously, I'm not. I traded him to him, but I think those are very solid pieces in terms of what he can build on top of that through the rookie draft, the regular draft, and the free agency period. I think he's in a position to take a team that was just in the playoffs, won their division, had a first-round bye, to put them in a very similar position in 2021.
Yeah, I knew we should have skipped you, but no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding, John. I think he's off to a good start. I'm just holding a little bit on my expectations just because I've never played with him. But just from seeing these keepers and having interactions with him in the group me, he seems to know what he's doing, and he's going to be good sooner rather than later. So, I'm ready to see what he does.
It's one of those rosters where it's we know Tyreek's going to produce, and Devin Bush, if healthy, will produce. Josh Jacobs, it's hit or miss each game. It depends on their offense. I don't really trust any Raiders product except Ruggs on offense. But I guess if you had to put your faith in somebody else, it would be Josh Jacobs.
And people forget he was an RB1 last year. Believe it or not, like, as sad as that sounds, Josh Jacobs was. He just had some outstanding games, and then he had other games where it was like womp womp womp. I mean, you weren't impressed.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, the big thing that scares everybody with Josh Jacobs this year was just them signing Kenyon Drake. You know, they gave him a pretty decent deal. You know, it just obviously from a fan's perspective, you're like, all right, they made the move for a reason. They probably don't. I mean, they use Jalen Richard a good bit and everything when they as a backup, but I think they're going to run Drake a little bit more, and especially if he takes away some goal line carries from Jacobs, because that's really what I thought made him that RB1 value, was that he got a good amount of touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But, yeah, that's like the only thing I would be concerned about with him is just.
That's a good point too, because I completely forgot about Drake, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the big scary thing with him this year. So, but other than that, he is a great running back, and I think they're more of a run first team. They're they don't know what they are, but I feel like they try to be.
I think Gruden is caught in years past when he was a coach in the NFL and has not adapted well at all. But you guys want to hop into our losers?
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's do it. I guess we'll start with Jordan again.
Yeah, we'll just run the same order. I definitely took the, I guess you would say the softball pick on this one. And for my team that I hated their off season, I'm going to go Team Eddie. I don't know what his team – what did we say? Oh, I'm going to go with Team Eddie and the over-the-pants hand jobs for the worst off season thus far. And simply being he didn't get any keepers in, so it's pretty rough starting from scratch when everybody else has at least one solid player on the roster. So good luck, and we'll see what you can do.
All right. So I would say it's my turn, and I'll go ahead and say another person who's not very well. This person's been here, but he hasn't been very active as far as trades or really much in the league. But I would say Michael was my underwhelming offseason. I don't really like the Eckler keep. I mean, for an 8th pick, it's not terrible, but he has Swift, which he has 2 running backs. I guess was one of his rookie.
DeAndre Swift.
Rookie draft.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. Lions running backs always feel like the same running back to me.
Yeah, I know.
From ever since Gallaudet best, it's been like the same running back, except Swift is actually decent. Like I feel like the Lions running back have a good one season, and then the next season they fall off.
Yeah.
But I do like Swift. That's a great keeper. But I'm not huge on. And Jordan Pryor is nice as well. But if we're looking throughout all the rosters, it's one of the most underwhelming roster.
Yeah, I agree. It's not the greatest. And I'll real quickly hop back on Team Eddie too, Jordan. Yeah, I wasn't too crazy about his team. Obviously, there's not much to say about Team Eddie. Like, he's in a rough spot. He has no players. Sure, he's got draft capital, but that means nothing when everyone's keeping 3 players. And Daquan, for Michael, I agree. It is very underwhelming. Austin Eckler made no sense to me. I mean, essentially, he's saying either Austin Eckler or Swift is his RB1 and the other is his flex player. He could have gotten a way better flex player in the draft or the free agency period, or even the rookie draft for that matter. Jordan Poyer was the only one that really I was like, okay, I like that. But as a first-round pick, in a team that really probably needs to rebuild at the moment, they're not picking to the second round now.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. I get where both y'all are going, but I guess I'm a little more neutral to this. I don't think he did all that bad, but I think that's because I'm higher on Austin Eckler than both of you. I think with a healthy year, man, he could have a massive season with his receiving ability, but I guess that's a big if. I think Eckler could turn into an RB1 with his receiving abilities plus the rookie Swift, and Poyer could be a top 5 to 7 safety. So I don't hate his start. So I'm kind of in disagreement, but yeah, those are my thoughts.
And I don't think Michael's not in this situation because he made bad choices. It's that Michael didn't have many choices to begin with, and the choices he had weren't great. And I think that's my biggest knock on it. He was in a rough position because of the way his roster construction last year. Obviously got him to the playoffs, but in terms of longevity of being successful, it wasn't built for that. It was like, get me to the playoffs right now, at this very moment. Screw next year. We'll get to next year when we get to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One thing I think of Eckler, he also has to split carries, and anytime it's not a full 50-50 split, but anytime you have a running back like Justin Jackson who shows some spark, it's kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
I don't like running backs that split carries, so that's why his value drops for me.
Yeah, I may just be a little too high on him, but we'll see.
Cool. Who you got, Mafali?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'll just start by saying that, like, because I didn't really chime in on any of the players, that really, like, anybody that we hate on this list, like, most of it's just due to inactivity. There was plenty of players out there and plenty of teams out there offering players for pretty cheap because they just couldn't keep them, I mean, I forgot who it was that just kept offering up Miles Jack, but there was more guys than just that. And there was plenty of chances to make a trade for a good pick to get a player to keep, so there was really not much of an excuse to have, like, terrible keepers, but some people just do,
That's true.
don't want to make the moves during the offseason, and that's their choice. Thanks for the dues, and I guess we'll see you later. But I say my big loser is probably Dirty Mike and the boys, because he didn't have a great team last year, so it was tough to pick. I do like Shaq Barrett, especially as a DN. Potential for 15+ sacks is always nice. So, but I thought the Bobby Okikri thing was, like, or however you pronounce his name, was really questionable. I mean, the guy is definitely not even the best linebacker on his team, maybe not even second best. And I think we looked at it. I was looking at it earlier. Was not even a top 250 player last year. And granted, he missed 2 games. It's not really that many. There's plenty of guys in the top 250 who missed multiple games, but he averaged 21 points a game last year. So I just thought that was weird, especially because he had Melvin Gordon at, like, a 3rd-round value, which I didn't think was terrible. I mean, I know they drafted a rookie, but still. So and then his last pick, Kenny Gallaudet, I mean, I like the name, but I don't trust the situation at all. So, he's definitely a big, like, boomer bust. And I think wide receiver is probably one of the least valuable positions anyways in this league if you don't get, like, a top elite guy, because there's so many guys that go through the middle all throughout the year. You could stream receivers and tight ends sometimes, even the way it turns out a lot in this league, because so many receivers and tight ends are getting cut constantly. Hardly ever any tight ends even get rostered, but
yeah.
So, that's probably my loser. I mean, but we'll see how the season turns out for him. He's got the first pick, so that's good. He has he could really make a change starting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Mafali. I think I'm not a big fan of Mike's team at all, and I think most of it isn't even necessarily the keepers. It's that this is a team. If there's a team that needed to rebuild the most and needed to be the most active and to get the most either draft capital or players, this is the team, and it just didn't happen this offseason for whatever reason. I don't mind, like, Kenny G, 13th round pick, that's dirt cheap, whatever. Shaq Barrett is definitely the best keeper here. Bobby Okirky, though, is at the moment the projected starting middle linebacker in the Colts, but with Leonard there, Leonard's going to siphon a lot of those tackles. So what does that mean for Bobby? I'm not sure, but I think this team suffered astronomically because of the inactivity. There needed to be trades happening here for Mike to really rebuild this, and going to the rookie draft, it's looking rough.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Mike is going to have to get dirty for sure.
Yeah.
Too, also, I know we're well past, like, the winners, but just scrolling through some of these teams, and another team that I probably would mention was Hunter champions.
I was looking at his team. He's got a good
Yeah,
team.
he's got 4 solid keepers, especially with Mahomes and Adams being who they are, and
Yeah.
still got his first and second round picks, and like, so he's off to a really good start. I'm interested to see where Hunter goes with this, and yeah, I'll just give him a honorable mention for sure. He's got something cooking.
Yeah, I gotta throw it out quick that I don't like Isaiah Simmons. I don't think he's a good fantasy player,
Yeah,
but
me
you
either.
know, there's definitely,
I
I
can
guess,
agree with
potential.
that, but yeah, it's potential. I
Potential
don't agree.
bust.
I don't agree with he's not a good fantasy player, but I can see why you would think he's not. I think he's gonna surprise you this year,
Mm,
just off the way
yeah,
they play him.
I mean, he might surprise everybody in the way that he underperforms. So
Yeah,
I don't think you can surprise us anymore on that end. Like he's definitely showed us rock bottom, and
Steve's
I think it was, I think it was
Steve's
coaching.
right now.
I think it was coaching on the aspect, and if he's, if he's your, whether he's linebacker 1 or linebacker 2, I
yeah,
think
but where are the tackles though? I mean, Buda Baker's a top safety for a reason. He eats up tackles. They got Xavier Collins to replace Jordan Hicks, and who Jordan Hicks was a top probably 20 tackler for sure. And they expect Xavier Collins to be the same. It's just so where are the tackles, and that's what fantasy's about. It's
Simmons.
and he's in between all the time. He's always a tweener. He's not really. Other than that, like the tackles come from corners who get torched. Like that's where your points come from usually.
Everything that I read last year during the season, I haven't read anything this offseason, so I can't speak to that. But it was for Simmons, it was a snap count issue. They were very intentionally not putting him on the field in the majority of situations. And whether that was a playbook issue, him not understanding, whether it was performance of practice, whatever, they were literally not, which worries me. I mean, that's your first round pick, and you're like, we're going to hold this guy back. And he's not a quarterback, right? Where, I mean, you see that all the time in the NFL. Like a rookie quarterback, he may not come in till later in the season or midpoint. But this is a linebacker. You spent a early first round pick on him, and you didn't use him. That's worrisome to me as a fantasy owner. Now, sure, he gets him scot-free, dirt cheap. You got him the rookie draft, right? That's the benefit of it. But
Yeah.
if he ends up being a bust, it's going to hurt because it's one guy that's stuck on your roster again for a consecutive year.
Definitely.
My response to that is, it could always be coaching and coaches' decisions. If you remember, Brian Burns didn't play much his rookie year based off of coaching, and he had the hand injury.
True.
Kind of kept him out, and then once he got on the field, he exploded. So the potential is always there, especially if they're a top, first round pick, their height, and then it comes down to coaching. So if it's a coaching thing, then it's always it's up in the air. But all we can see is we'll see this year.
Yeah, I agree. For my loser, this is, I can't really say inactivity because he was active, but I think he had a very limited window of activity by the time he joined. That's Matt McCarson's Step Bros Fantasy Company, rookie GM of the league. He traded for Von Bell in the offseason, gave up a 7th-round pick. I'm not a big fan of Von Bell. I'm sure a 7th-round pick is nothing, so, I mean, I guess I just felt like he could have traded for a better safety if that's what he wanted in terms of, like, position-wise for one of his keepers. But that was one of my issues with him so far this offseason, what he's done. I would say the other is Kareem Hunt. Like, we're talking about splitting time. Like, this is definitely the number 2 back in that offense. I don't think anyone in the right mind is saying Chubb is a number 2. Or you can't even say it's a 1A, 1B situation. Like, it's very clearly Chubb's ball, and Kareem Hunt kind of gets put in for different situations. I'm not too crazy about that. It was a cheap pick, though, 6th-round pick, so it's not like he gave up a lot. And then the only one I really liked was Khalil Mack for an 8th. That was dirt cheap. I mean, that's a starting defensive end for him that he's getting for practically nothing. So good for him on keeping Khalil Mack. I thought that was definitely going to be one of his starters. It was, and I think that's going to work out well. But again, I think most of this goes down to the timing of when he joined. By the time he had joined, most teams had already kind of made their moves to get their 3 keepers aligned and everything. So I think the issue here isn't necessarily that Matt McCarson wasn't active in the offseason. It was just that he was in a very tough situation.
Yeah, I can agree with that. He inherited a tough spot from Storm and the Vegetarians.
Yes.
So he did the best he could. Like you said, Hunt splits, but at least he will have his explosive games. And I like Mac, like you said. And Bell was just pretty much to have somebody.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, to come in and try to make something out of nothing, that's probably as best as you can do with the roster he inherited. Like,
Yes.
it's very impossible to build a winning roster in the offseason with what he had to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And he's new to like IDP in general too. So this is all like, foreign to him. So, I was definitely interested like how like Von Bell came into the the picture, like, how those trade talks sparked. But like you said, Pat, probably could have got a better safety even if it was like for a little higher of a pick, but for the 7th rounder, why not?
Yeah. I think Matt's he's gonna learn, and we've talked about in this show plenty of times generational failures of fantasy football teams. Meaning, in a keeper league or a dynasty league, you come in, you're replacing essentially 3 generations of previous owners who were horrendous at their job, who did a terrible job of roster development, free agency acquisition, draft acquisition, trading. Just roster evaluation in general, that is very tough to rebound from. I think the best example I can give, if you rewind a couple years to back when Ethan was in our league and then Bryson replaced him, I think, and that 3-year span, they may have had 3 wins between those 2 owners. And then Austin comes in and replaces him, and he's got to try to finagle his way to a somewhat competitive roster, and he did the best he could in that situation. But that wasn't a reflection on Austin at all. It was mostly the guys who did a terrible job of developing this team, and he had nothing to trade, nothing to offer anyone. So he basically had to do everything through the draft. And that's a very similar situation that Matt's in here with his team. I think he's going to have to do it the old school way. He's going to have to draft guys, and maybe try to make moves in season to get to where he needs to be.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's what we got, guys. That was a pretty straightforward show. Do y'all have any last-second comments before we hop off?
No, I don't think I have anything.
No, just looking forward to the rookie draft. Really, that's it.
Make sure you get your
Picks
rookie
in.
value picks in on the message board by Saturday.
And please.
Ooh, Jordan, what happened to what happened to the specific times you were going to give people? That's Saturday sounds a little bit vague.
Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's Eastern Standard Time on the United States or North America.
Yeah.
So very
I'm
specific.
talking Saturday in China.
And the instructions it just says at the end of Saturday, so whenever Saturday ends for you, have it in.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody except for Mike is Eastern Standard Time, correct?
I believe so. I'm not sure,
Yep.
John Viveros, if he's technically whatever's next Eastern Time. I'm blanking right now. I'm not sure what time zone
What
he's in.
state is he in?
What now?
Is he he's not. What is he, like in a different state?
Yeah, he's in a different state.
Oh, okay. I thought he was from like South Carolina, Florida, like everybody else, basically.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly. But yeah, most people are definitely Eastern Standard Time. Everyone but one person I know it should be. But yeah, we'll catch you guys for the next episode. Oh, by the way, next episode, we're going to reveal the extra fantasy week that we have, the opponents. We may have something else a little bit to add in there, but that is the main thing we're going over next week's podcast. So we'll catch you guys next week after the rookie wagers are in. We'll see y'all later. Sing us a song, Jordan.
y'all.
Sing it.
I don't have to sing a song this week, but everybody make sure you subscribe to Patrick's OnlyFans.
Yes.
Only $3.99 a month.
Well, there's a discount. There's a 10% discount. So whatever that math
All
is.
Link will be in the group me.
All right. All right. We'll see you. Bye.